Show of hands if you stayed up until midnight waiting for Blake Lively to drop this freaking amendment. Okay, am I the only person with their hands raised? Are you guys just here to plagiarize because you know I went through every line like a complete psycho? That's perfectly fine. I just want you guys to know rather. But if you're here because you think there's some bombshell in here, as her lawyers were alluding to, oh, wait until everybody sees everything, you're going to be sorely disappointed, because if clickbait was an amendment, this is it. Okay, I cannot believe it. And there's so much more going on here. Now we really see the target of everything, I think, really the linchpin for her lawsuit, the person that she went after. We have to discuss Isabella. All right, you guys. So Ryan Reynolds obviously has to be deported back to Canada. After having read through the amended lawsuit, Ryan absolutely must go home. Okay, not imagining how they treated them, being able to read the messages, being able to see how they were speaking to people behind the scenes, calling herself, oh, I could just have very powerful people ruin your life. I've got dragons. They're terrible human beings. They show up on red carpets like the Amphar Gala in their expensive wear to be seen, to be photographed, and they give away $1 million. And then guess what, guys? That's it. That's their indulgence. That's it. You got to just accept that they're good people. They gave $500,000 to charity this year. So that doesn't matter how they're treating other people. They are literally looking for any individual that will jump on board and solidify her statements that Justin Baldoni is a creep, and they are routinely and continually coming up dry, because that's what happens when you lie. So Blakey no likey, then Blakey's going to go after you and poison the whole cast against you. Also, if she doesn't get what she wants, or if somebody is cast that she doesn't like, she's openly admitted that she poisons the whole cast against people.
Show up on a set, I knew that they just wanted me to show up and look cute and stand on a little pink sticker where I'm supposed to go and say what I'm supposed to say, but I also knew that that wasn't fulfilling for me, that I wanted to be a part of the storytelling, that I wanted to be a part of the narrative, whether that be in the writing, in the costume design, in creating the character. And sometimes I had directors or producers or writers who would welcome that and invite that once they saw that I was able to offer that. And sometimes I would have people who really resented that because they were like, we just hired you to be an actor. Yet when I went in the meetings, I would just seem like I'm just there to be the actor and ready to get the gig. I wouldn't reveal that I actually need to have authorship in order to feel you're trying to assert yourself into something that we didn't hire you to do.
I don't understand how they do not understand why we do not like them. Weird. Okay, weird.
Weird. And that she and her husband are bullies, and it's as vicious as it can get.
I defend Justin Baldoni in this lawsuit with Blake Lively because I think she's horrible and she's made up this whole thing because she tried to steal his movie. But he is the most overly feminized man I've had to endure in recent history. Everything he says is self-flagellating over the fact that he's a man, but he's, to me, sort of the embodiment of what happens when you totally emasculate a man. And then she continued, she took that stiletto and stuck it in his heart when he was down there self-flagellating, being so sorry for anything having to do with his testosterone. And so that's what happens to you, right? You run into somebody who seems like a witch who will take advantage of you and hurt you until finally even that kind of a guy rises up. Now, he didn't do it himself exactly. He hired a badass named Brian Friedman.
Nothing good ever comes from pointing the finger at somebody and feeling intimidated, or either one of those things foster unity. And I think what we need more of is compassion, understanding, and empathy. And I also believe it's important to, regardless of whether there is an oppressor or an oppressed, to acknowledge hurt where it exists.
Welcome back to Tea Time with Tina. So have you ever witnessed a Hollywood drama so wild you'd swear it was cooked up by a screenwriter having a really bad day? Well, buckle up, because this saga involving Justin Baldoni, Blake Lively, Ryan Reynolds, and Candace Owens might just outdo every soap opera in existence. One moment we're hearing about wholesome set visits, the next there's a legal brawl worth a cool $400 million. Add in accusations of PR stunts, an unedited slow dance, and a rumored behind-the-scenes puppet master, and you've got the recipe for a scandal that's spicier than a jalapeno wearing a jetpack. We're just out here trying to make sense of the absurd rumors swirling around. One anonymous source claims Ryan Reynolds was basically rewriting lines as if he were the next Shakespeare.
He was involved in this to some extent. There was a meeting at their apartment at which you allege that there were some senior production people who witnessed him allegedly berate Justin Baldoni to the point where these third parties felt upset that they didn't do more to stand up for Justin, that they thought Ryan Reynolds was so abusive. I think he would say, I was standing up for my wife who'd been sexually harassed by this guy and so on. But what role did he have in all of this?
Well, arguably, for the first time at the premiere, you find out that Blake Lively tells people that all of a sudden he wrote a scene in the movie. I mean, shocking everybody, shocking Sony, shocking the production staff. It's the first time they're hearing it. And, Justin handles that really, really well and doesn't want to say she's a liar, or doesn't want to say that's inappropriate, or doesn't want to say that's part of someone else's job. And he treats her very well about that.
And Candace Owens is convinced this is all a choreographed takedown, and now we're left with enough questions to fill an entire bingo card. If you feel like your popcorn is missing, now's the time to grab a jumbo bucket. Here's everything you need to know, and possibly some things you didn't, about the Justin Baldoni versus Blake Lively, and apparently the entire Reynolds-Lively household situation, told in a way that'll hopefully make you laugh at least once or twice. Now, before we dive in, don't forget to like and subscribe because let's face it, I'm nothing without your support. Now back to the tea. Shortly after filming for It Ends With Us Wrapped, the internet practically popped a vein when it discovered some of the behind-the-scenes drama. But the most bizarre twist came from an anonymous insider's bombshell. Ryan Reynolds, not Baldoni or Blake Lively, is supposedly the secret puppet master controlling everyone like an over-caffeinated marionette.
He's a very scary, creepy guy. We found the creep. It's Ryan Reynolds. Narrator, she did not listen. She did not take my advice at all. I said that having read through Blake Lively's complaints, that it was evident to me that she was likely under the influence when she filed her complaint. And who wrote to me said that they worked on the set of It Ends With Us, okay? And that the villain in this entire story is not Blake Lively, it's not Justin Baldoni, but it is Ryan Reynolds. Now, all agree that the moral crimes committed here by Ryan Reynolds against Justin Baldoni have amounted to high treason. As the backstory, comes to set, reviews the dailies, the raw footage, whatever that was shot today, reviews the script, and then he goes into his trailer, allegedly. Don't gag order or sue me, Ryan Reynolds. Okay, I don't want to be involved in all the drama. I'm just telling my audience what I was told. He goes into Blake Lively's trailer and they have an argument. All of the production assistants overheard the argument, okay? Now, what was at the root of that argument? We don't know, but we can assume it had something to do with what he saw in these dailies, what he read in the script. Who even knows what led him to even visit on this day? And the person says that from that day forward, he started involving himself, that he basically became a chaperone for her on set. He was there basically every day, involved in the projects, wanting to rewrite lines, and suddenly Ryan Reynolds was trying to wrangle this project.
Can you picture Ryan Reynolds lurking around set, silently stroking his mustache that he may or may not have, plotting elaborate rewrites, and occasionally breaking the fourth wall to amuse the entire production crew? According to The Insider, Reynolds was all up in the raw footage, scanning the script like he was searching for hidden treasure. Even more eyebrow-raising, they say he'd pop into Blake Lively's trailer to argue about random scenes. One can almost imagine him wearing a Director Reynolds baseball cap, handing out production notes while balancing a cup of cold brew coffee. And if that wasn't enough of a mental image, rumor has it he eventually tried to rewrite lines to improve the script. Because who needs professional screenwriters when you have Deadpool, right? But wait, there's more. This same informant claims that Reynolds didn't just argue in private. Apparently, he also tried to strong-arm producers into making changes he personally preferred. Whether these changes were comedic adjustments or dramatic reworks is still unclear, but either way, the entire production atmosphere started to resemble a reality show. By the time filming ended, half of Hollywood was in on the story, yet the public was still blissfully unaware. Until the legal gloves came off.
Are you going to sue Blake Lively too?
Into oblivion, Megan. Wait till you see this lawsuit.
Oh boy. Well, for what?
I'm just going to tell you, you're going to have to wait and see.
This was a sinister PR move. Blake Lively then moved 11 days later to file a lawsuit. So now she has filed a lawsuit. And I don't think she ever wanted to do this. I think she genuinely wanted this to be a PR move, and she wanted to leak it to the New York Times. She thought the public would take her side with no questions asked. And instead the public is saying, no, we have a few questions here. And Justin Baldoni is going all the way to the wall on this. His lawyer is already giving interviews explaining just how nasty her team has played this. He says there used to never be a sexual claim. There never was a sexual claim until she went to that civil rights office.
There was actually no allegation of sexual harassment until the lawsuit.
The real question on everyone's mind is, why would Ryan Reynolds, star of comedic blockbusters, want to lord over a serious drama about complicated relationships? Maybe the lure of creative control was too strong to resist, or maybe he was just bored on weekends. We might never know, but apparently, where there's smoke, there's usually a cameo from Reynolds with a fire extinguisher. Only here, he's the one lighting the match. Enter Blake Lively, who's typically known for exuding so much charm she could sell sand in the desert. She filed formal complaints accusing Justin Baldoni of some seriously inappropriate behavior on set, though the specifics remain hush-hush. Imagine a complaint so dramatic it could make a Shakespearean tragedy look like a children's lullaby. Except we're not entirely sure who's telling the truth. Candace Owens then swoops in, sporting her signature confidence, and questions the validity of Lively's claims. She suggests Lively might be under someone else's influence, or possibly part of a bigger, well-coordinated scheme. Of course, the internet collectively flipped out. Half the population started furiously Googling, "Candace Owens sides with Justin Baldoni?" While the other half asked, "Wait, what does Candace Owens have to do with it ends with us?" Now, Baldoni isn't one to be silent, so he shot back with a 10-minute reel of unedited footage, presumably hoping to show he wasn't the boogeyman everyone was painting him to be.
Justin Baldoni is bringing the receipt. And what I mean by that is Justin Baldoni just dropped 10 minutes of unedited footage from It Ends With Us. And this footage seemingly directly negates some of Blake Lively's claim in her harassment lawsuit against Justin Baldoni. At the beginning of the footage, we see Blake and Justin essentially talking about logistics. They're talking about lighting, finding their marks, whether or not they should be talking or just staring.
It just detracts from every genuine victim who actually faces this sort of treatment.
Just kidding.
No, it's true. That's why we hired Jenny's Lee, too. Our noses match.
Just here's yet another one. She wants us to believe this is actionable harassment, what we just witnessed there. You tell me whether that's what that looks like to you.
He released this footage to the public faster than you can say breaking news, insisting it disproves Lively's on-set allegations. If you're wondering what the footage shows, details are surprisingly scarce. Rumors say it's about as thrilling as raw behind-the-scenes banter can be, but apparently it's enough for Baldoni to argue, "See, I'm not guilty of what she's saying." While fans of both stars picked sides quicker than you can choose which donut to eat first, the question lingers. Who's telling the truth? And more importantly, is there any chance this entire fiasco started because someone refused to share the last jelly-filled donut in the craft services tent? We might never know, but at least we're all thoroughly entertained. If there's one thing Hollywood does better than multi-million-dollar blockbusters, it's the fine art of spin, public relations spin, to be precise. According to various murmurs, Lively's PR team took the nuclear option by leaking every rumor, complaint, and scathing detail to TMZ, the Daily Mail, or whoever else would listen. It's like they broke open a piñata of negative press aimed directly at Justin Baldoni. Candace Owens, never one to shy away from controversy, claims this is much more than a casual spat.
They are literally looking for any individual that will jump on board and solidify her statements that Justin Baldoni is a creep, and they are routinely and continually coming up dry because that's what happens when you lie.
She calls it a media assault. Picture it, a commando squad of gossip columnists parachuting into the conflict zone, armed with scathing headlines and dramatic quotes, determined to sabotage Baldoni's career in the eyes of the public. If you're thinking, sounds extreme, you're not alone. But after all, we are talking about Tinseltown, where alliances shift faster than a chameleon at a Skittles factory. As if the tension weren't thick enough to spread on toast, Justin Baldoni decided to go full scorched earth and file a $400 million lawsuit. Yes, you heard that right. $400 million.
Followed by an attempted PR takedown of her to cover his own ass from people finding out what he did to her. In an article titled, "We Can Bury Anyone," Blake Lively heroically shared her story, and the world was on her side because it looked like she was just trying to take down a predator in Hollywood. So Justin Baldoni and his ace lawyer launched an all-cylinder fire attack to clear his name, and he started by suing the New York Times, saying that article was just published because it was paid for by Ryan Reynolds, and it was a multi-layered scheme planned out by Blake and Ryan to take down Justin. And I think it's pretty common knowledge that the mainstream media will lie on behalf of their powerful friends or anyone who pays them off to say something.
If numbers aren't your strong suit, let's just say it's enough to buy a small island nation and still have pocket change for a platinum yacht. Baldoni is claiming defamation and something akin to a well-coordinated smear campaign orchestrated by Lively, Ryan Reynolds, and their entire PR team. And here we all thought Star Wars had the best space battles. With all this drama, you'd think Ryan Reynolds might be quietly sipping mint tea in a corner somewhere. But according to the rumors swirling around, that's exactly the opposite of what he's been doing. During SNL's big 50th anniversary special, Reynolds slipped in a joke that some interpreted as a sly reference to Baldoni's predicament.
Breaking news, Ryan Reynolds and Blake Lively make their first public appearance at Saturday Night Live's 50th anniversary. They made a joke about it all.
I have a question.
Oh, hey, Ryan Reynolds.
Hi.
Hey. Ryan Reynolds, how's it going?
Great. Why? What have you heard?
Yeah, well, it wasn't funny, which makes me realize and think this is all orchestrated and
Because apparently his comedic roast style doesn't go on break, not even for a big celebratory event. But jokes aside, sources claim that Reynolds actually pressured Baldoni's agency, WME, to drop him after the two had a particularly heated standoff on set. That's a pretty serious allegation. Basically, drop that actor or you'll lose me, if certain gossip corners are to be believed. Now imagine you're an agent at WME. Which client do you keep if you're forced to choose? The comedic darling with a string of global hits, or the up-and-comer who's embroiled in a legal storm? It's like having to choose between a chocolate lava cake and a kale salad. Obviously, one is the crowd favorite. Hint, it's not kale. Candace Owens, waving her detective's magnifying glass in the air, says Reynolds is the real culprit controlling the narrative.
All right, you guys. So Ryan Reynolds obviously has to be deported back to Canada. After having read through the amended lawsuit, Ryan absolutely must go home.
She's out there telling fans, don't be fooled by the headlines. Reynolds is the mastermind behind this entire meltdown. Whether she's right or not, the idea of Ryan Reynolds operating like a corporate overlord, issuing commands and shaping Hollywood's direction is at least entertaining, especially if we imagine he does it while wearing a red suit and cracking jokes. Still, the potential fallout is no laughing matter for anyone on the receiving end. Tired of feeling like a piñata for tabloids, Justin Baldoni decided to do what any fed-up celebrity might, launch his very own website, thelawinfo.com. Because why wait for mainstream outlets to get the story right, when you can just throw it out there yourself?
In my entire career, it's the one case we're going to put every single text message, every single document, everything on a website for everyone in the public to read, come to their own conclusions, and they can determine whether or not there was sexual harassment here, there was a smear campaign, or there was retaliation, because we have proof and receipts that absolutely and unequivocally show this is not true.
On this site, Baldoni posts text messages, emails, and behind-the-scenes tidbits that he claims prove he's the victim of a carefully orchestrated smear campaign. As you might guess, the site had more hits than a cat video posted by a Kardashian. Everyone wanted to see these receipts, from fans who believed Baldoni was innocent to haters who showed up with virtual popcorn to watch the fiasco unfold. If you've ever wanted an unfiltered look at how Hollywood feuds can escalate into all-out warfare, this site apparently delivers. His legal team vows that the site is going to bring absolute clarity to the situation, unveiling secret correspondences and meeting minutes that paint Lively, Reynolds, and their PR squad as cunning strategists. Every new piece of evidence spawns a fresh wave of theories. And so here we stand at the climax of one of the most convoluted celebrity sagas we've seen in years, maybe even decades. Justin Baldoni maintains he's the target of a ruthless takedown, orchestrated by Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds. Blake Lively insists she has every right to speak up about Baldoni's conduct, and Candace Owens is sounding the alarm that we're all overlooking the real villain, who she says is none other than the charismatic, wisecracking Ryan Reynolds. While the exact truth remains elusive, it's safe to say this showdown is shaping up like a blockbuster film in its own right, except no one can agree on who's the protagonist and who's the antagonist. As if it weren't enough that lawsuits are flying around like confetti, the public is completely split on who to believe. One day you might think Baldoni's telling the unfiltered truth. The next day, you'll see some new clip or comment that flips the narrative on its head. Lively's legal team promises more revelations, Baldoni's website keeps dropping gotcha evidence. It's considering hiring extra staff. At this point, the only certainty is that the story isn't finished. We're probably on chapter 4 of a never-ending novel, with each side gearing up for bigger revelations. If you've been entertained so far, get ready. Things might escalate even more. There's talk of an amended complaint from Lively's legal team, potential new footage from Baldoni's vault of evidence, and possibly more cameo appearances from unsuspecting celebrities. Because why stop at Taylor Swift when you could toss in a cameo by some random Marvel hero or a reality TV star? For now, though, we can only speculate. Stay on your toes if you want to keep up, and keep a jumbo bag of popcorn handy. This story is like an endless film reel, spliced with plot twists that no one saw coming. If it's clarity you're after, you might need to wait until the judge's gavel finally hits, or the entire cast decides to release a tell-all documentary with comedic commentary. Until then, enjoy the spectacle, because Hollywood might never again give us a scandal quite this bizarre. Well, until next week. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell to stay in the loop for your favorite celeb tea. Until next time, stay tuned, stay safe, and stay informed. Only on Tea Time with Tina.